What is your opinion of day trading just in general?
I think it's a horrible idea.
Can you speak about it? Special day around here. It's not every day that we get a market wizard coming by to stop on the channel, so very cool to have you. You are an official market wizard, so I guess maybe we'll just start right there. What is that like? Do you get any kind of special perks, discounts on charting packages or anything? You and the other wizards get together once a week and chat about stuff?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Okay, well, still very cool to I guess, I don't know, just kind of a unique thing. Not very many people get the the title there. But let me ask you this as a starting point. What exactly happened, or what did you do that turned you on to getting interviewed for the book and ultimately getting put into it? What was that stage of your life like?
I had a very good friend named Bill who actually must have seen something somewhere that Jack Schwager had posted, like, hey, I'm looking for, unknown market wizards or something. And Billy, unfortunately, at the time had just been diagnosed with terminal cancer. And I think that he was in the mode of like, he wanted to like do nice things for his friends or something like that, because he actually told Jack Schwager about me. And I don't know exactly what he said, but and I only knew this because Jack asked me who Bill was, because Bill had contacted him. So, and Jack must have liked what Bill said, and he contacted me, and he was like, "I'd love to talk to you." And he, at the time, I was like, I'm not really into it, to tell you the truth. I'm not really looking for the publicity. But I was going to be in Boulder like 2 weeks later for a friend's daughter's wedding, and Jack was living in Boulder. So I said, look, why don't we, and I loved his books. I'm a big fan of the Market Wizards books. So I said, why don't we, have lunch? I'd love to meet you now that I got you here and you're paying attention to me. I'd love to meet you at the very least. And we did. We sat down for, a couple hours or so, actually in his apartment, and we spoke and we got along well. And it just kind of went from there.
Very cool. What was the process like? Was it a kind of like a one day get to know you, or were you kind of like followed around for 6 months to really get inside your head? What was
no, we spoke for, a couple hours that first meeting. And then he contacted me. He was like, I really enjoyed our meeting. I didn't tape any of it. I wish I did. Can we do a Zoom call or something like that? So we sat on a Zoom call for a few hours. And then he did a follow-up where we did another one for a little while. And that was really the whole thing. Then, we went back and forth with the, returns and all that stuff and the numbers and all that.
Yeah, very cool. You've read the book, the one that you're in?
I read my chapter just to make sure that it was what I thought was accurate. I haven't really, quite frankly, read the other chapters.
Sure. Right on. Very cool. Do you have any words of advice if there's a new aspiring trader out there that has eye sets on being a market wizard someday? Any words of advice on how to achieve it?
I mean, you have to put up good returns. You have to be able to, I think, articulate how you do that. And then you have to somehow get in touch with, I guess, Jack, and see what kind of book he's writing, and maybe he'll put you in there.
Okay, everybody listening, take notes. Very good. Okay, so you have, I would say, a very interesting approach, or at least method to the market. I don't know, I would actually be interested to know how you view it. If you think about what you do and it's something that is novel to you, or at least was at the time, or if it's something maybe not as unique to you for some reason. But let me start off kind of broadly summarizing what I understand about what you do, and then you can fill me in if I'm wrong about it. But the main thing that you'll do is watch the interest between commercial accounts and virtually everybody else. And when there starts to be a large discrepancy between how those are positioned, when it gets to be a certain level of extreme, you start paying attention, and then that becomes an interesting market to you. You then wait for a failed news event, some type of really good news that happens, but the market cannot be bought, or a really bad event that happens, but the market can't go any lower. that's the trigger for you. You'll then look to join, fading the market essentially, but I guess joining the commercial side of things or the other side, and then looking to be contrarian. Is that a rough idea of how you would describe your method, or is there something I'm leaving out there?
I think you got it. That's
Okay.
pretty much it.
Yeah, so very interesting, very contrarian. And I heard you say something that I loved, that you're contrarian, maybe by nature and the way you approach the market, but with the stipulation that you're not contrarian to price. And that being contrarian to price is very stupid. And I think one of my biggest struggles is I also err on this side of being very contrarian. When the market is doing something, I find it very hard to believe it. It just feels to me like the market's tricking me, and I kind of naturally want to do the opposite. And especially early on, I was very contrarian just to price. Price was dropping, so I just wanted to do the opposite of it. But what you do is quite different. You're not being contrarian just for the sake of being contrarian, but you do look to, do the opposite of what I guess most people are doing in that sense. But yeah, as far as your way of approaching the market, to you, when you started going down this route, because you had experience before you started dialing in on this, was this something that was revolutionary to you, something that you had to that you discovered? Was it something that you were in a group of other traders were doing as well, something you learned from somebody? How did you kind of find your way into this approach?
Trial and error. I think that, first of all, if you go ahead and read the first even 2 or 3 Market Wizards books, to me, what I do, if I really look at it, it's really just the conclusion of the first Market Wizards book, to me, at least. These guys talk consistently about how if you want to make excess returns, you have to be contrarian to the masses. You can't fight the tape because that'll get you run over. You need market confirmation, that type of stuff. And I'm just sort of really just putting those things together, I think, and trying to turn it into a process.
Definitely.
So I don't think I invented any of these concepts. I think maybe the way that I put it together maybe is a little different, but truthfully, I don't think I invented any of these concepts.
Sure. Now, you are a swing trader?
I don't really know what a swing trader is. I hear that term a lot, but I don't really know what that means.
Very good. Well,
I'm a turn picker. I pick sort of major market turns, medium to long-term market turns. That my winning trades usually last 2 to 3 months, sometimes longer. The average is about 3 months. Sometimes they're less. I've had some that have just lasted a few weeks. I've had some that have lasted over a year. It's all based on participation. So if I see mass participation on the short side and I get long something, then I'm going to ride that long as it works, until that mass participation to the short side is out. So it's not really up to me when that is. It's up to sort of everybody else when they want to give up on, that mass participation. And that's when I get out, because that's where my edge theoretically is, right? They're super short, I get long. Well, when they're not super short anymore, then I get out. And
you'll stretch out, I think I've heard you say, 37 different markets that you keep your eye on?
Yes.
Do you trade the S&P 500, I'm assuming?
Yes.
How will you interact with it? Do you trade the futures for it, or do you?
I trade all futures.
Well, futures exclusive.
37 markets that I trade are the 37 most liquid U.S. futures markets.
Okay. Yeah. Very good. Very interesting. And then during this typical, you said 3 month, a lot of times less than that. Are these typically with trades that are going in your favor? Is it ever common to get into a trade and maybe within a day, it's just this was this wasn't the turn, or even on a trade that doesn't work out, it's usually weeks or something along that line?
It's unfortunately very common. But yeah, if I am picking a turn, and this has a lot to do with, I think, my risk management and all that, is if I'm picking a turn, let's say I'm buying, I think it's the low, and it goes back and makes a new low, then I haven't picked the turn, right? Yeah. So that's where I get stopped out.
Yep. Okay. So
by definition, right? A new low means I didn't get the turn. So again, that works within my process. And I think this is important for people, no matter what their process is. Where is my process wrong, and therefore I have to get out? Well, for me, if I'm picking a turn and the market makes a new low, well, then my process is wrong. So I get out. It's very easily defined for me,
when you are having an idea and you pick an entry, do you separate out the idea that the entry might have failed, but the trade idea is still alive? So potentially you're looking for a turn, maybe this wasn't it, but you'll, in a coming day, take that same market, that same trade, or the way that you, because this would be very common for me to have an idea and for the entry of mine to fail, but the idea is still very valid. And I would look to maybe retry that. Similar, or if your entry isn't working because of the nature of you catching these turns, that idea is dead, you're on to look for a whole new thing and you need a whole new news catalyst before that sets up again.
I need a new news catalyst.
Okay.
If the positioning stuff still shows, let's say everybody's short, I'm looking to get long. There's a news failure, I get long. It goes back and takes out a new low, I get stopped. Well, as long as the positioning still shows that everybody's short, then I'm looking for a new news catalyst to take the trade again.
Yeah.
And as long as the positioning stays that way, I will be looking to put the trade on, but I need that news confirmation first.
Yeah. Do you go all in, all out with positions, or do you have a form of managing to scale at all?
I get in right there. I know where my entry is. I know where my stop is. I know how much I want to risk per trade. And therefore I size it to that. And that's it. I don't trail stops after that. I don't add to it after that. I don't do any of that.
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
It either works or it gets stopped at.
Sure. And my opinion of most people that are doing maybe let's say longer term positions, and you don't check in and just maybe spend a few hours a day in front of the screens. What's your workflow like? Are you 8+ hours a day on the screens, 10+ hours? Are you constant? Is it normal for you to be in a position where you are all stretched out across several markets at one time to where you're kind of at your parameters, so you're just monitoring and kind of sidelined for a few weeks at a time, or are you usually very active?
I sit in front of this computer probably 16 hours, 17 hours a day.
Oh, good Lord.
I don't need to. Okay. And I probably shouldn't, but it's just old habit, and I do other things. Like I am, as you can probably hear, my daughter's walking in and out of doors, making a whole bunch of noises over here. This is in the middle of my house. My TV and my wife's art studio is right here. So like, this is just my spot, right? So I like to convince myself that the reason I spend so much time watching the screens and doing all that is we've talked about how I put on trades, but once I have trades on, I now have a portfolio on, right? And so I'm monitoring my risk via looking at the correlations between my trades, right? So I'll put these trades on. Yes, they follow my process. Yes, but where there's some discretion in this whole thing is what my portfolio looks like and how I want to deal with that. So in other words, if I get a buy in, if I'm saying I'm risking, let's say 1% a trade, okay, and I get a buy in the S&P, and okay, so I size it so that if I get stopped, I lose 1%. But if I get a buy in the S&P and the Russell and the NASDAQ and the Dow, right, then am I really risking 1% on that trade because those are so highly correlated, right? Sure. So that's an extreme version. But if I have other things that I'm getting on, I kind of want to know what the correlations are between them, because I don't want to have the same trade on 4 different times, right? So I convinced myself that the reason I spend so much time watching these markets is that I'm really monitoring the correlations, which I feel like I can do better live time than sort of evaluate risk thing can pick up for me. Is that true? Is that not true? Maybe it's just an excuse and I just sit here because it's old habit and I have nothing else to do because I'm a loser. I don't know. But that's what I convinced myself of. But I spend a lot of time. I also believe that this is how you pick things up and this is how you learn, by watching and observing. I've been doing this for God knows how many years, 30 years that I've been, before the internet. I remember being up at night, calling the broker, hey, what's this market doing? What's that market doing? It's just kind of old habit. Does it add value? I don't really know, but it's what I do.
Very good. Okay. Well, if I ever know I need to get a hold of you, I'll know right where you are. So it'll be
I mean, I also have this Discord page now too. and
Good.
it's filled of a bunch of total market lunatics. So and they're also all over the world. So like there's people on here all day, all night talking about shit, and like I talk to them too. We have conversations. It's kind of fun.
Sure, sure. Do you ever like stream video audio, or is it always just chat with your group?
It's chat. Some other people, I mean, sometimes we put like, music videos on there of songs we like, or, silly little things that people do. But, people post charts on there all the time, and, post all kinds of stuff on there all the time. But it's mostly, sort of chat.
Right on. And then with such an aggressive, amount of screen time in, I guess you ever wear blue light blocking glasses, or you just kind of raw dog the screen every day?
I probably should.
Yeah,
I'm half blind now anyway, so
so, yes.
I mean, I
That
literally
ship's done sailed.
I lost sight in this eye about a year and a half ago. So
Completely, or just it's on the fritz?
well, I had like what do you call surgery where my retina detached.
Oh, good Lord.
So I have a detached retina and it never really healed. So like I can't really see out of the side very well.
Yeah, right on. Interesting. Okay. Now, with being so aggressive in front of the screens throughout the week, on weekends, are you, completely out, try to break that up a little bit, or what does a weekend look like for you?
So I have for very many years written something up that sort of gives me my outline for the week. I do that on Saturdays.
Okay.
Here's the trades that I'm looking at. Here's why. Here's what it's going to take for me to put the trade on. And that's always just been sort of for me to keep my discipline, to help me keep my discipline. And then at the end, I've always written up like a whole thing of my opinion, which really is more about, I get to go back and see just how wrong I was over time, and remind myself of why I don't trade discretion. Like, you know what I mean? It helps me keep that whole thing, right? Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, but it really doesn't add a lot of value. But I like to get it out. We all like to have the opinion of their market, right? So rather than put my opinion in my trades, I like to put my opinions down on this piece of paper so that I have an outlet for them. And like I say, then I get to go back and say, look how wrong you were. It's a good thing that you don't do this. And that is actually what has turned into this newsletter that I do that gets distributed every week to the people that are on my Discord and all that. It sort of turned into that. So
Oh, very interesting.
that's kind of what I do on the weekends. It takes me a few hours on a Saturday, and then I'm mulling through it in my head, and I'll pick at it during the week, during Saturday or Sunday, I'll pick at it, and over the course of the week, it gets over the course of the weekend, it gets kind of finished. And then I do these videos now for YouTube every weekend. So that's part of my weekend too, although that only takes 10 minutes because I don't even script those things. I just kind of like turn on my a lot of times I don't know what the hell I'm going to talk about, but I'll turn on my camera and I'll just make a video based on the stuff I've been hearing all week. Something triggered. Somebody said this to me about risk management, so I'll make a video about that. Somebody said this about whatever, so I'll make a video about that. And that's really all I do on the weekends. It's a couple hours, 2-3 hours of stuff on the weekend, and the rest of the weekend I try and I don't know, nap, spend time with my kids, spend time with my wife, try to play some guitar, try to relax.
It's very interesting point about writing down, trying to get your thoughts out, maybe that discretionary energy, try to get that out through your paper. And it's a timely thing coming into this conversation right now. I am it's very small, kind of uneventful day on Monday for me, down Tuesday and Wednesday, and on those days, nothing, every single idea just not following through, not playing out, not working. Today, also ideas just not playing out for me, and very well acquainted with this topic you're talking about right now, specifically today, of just going through this period in my own personal trading of just, I feel like I'm just wrong on everything right now. And earlier on, this is the most depressing thing because you just feel completely lost. I feel like, can I even do? You have so many doubts and everything. And if you can live long enough in this to just realize that that happens, not all that frequently, but it happens. You go through these periods where just everything seems wrong. And I would imagine one of the biggest issues for everybody getting started is just fighting that need to try and be right over trying to follow the process or just trying to make good trades. And it's a big issue, but I really enjoy hearing somebody like yourself just speak into that so candidly about the fact that, hey, I'm just wrong a lot. And
you know, the video that I believe it on, it's so funny that you say this, because I just wrote this down 2 hours ago after a conversation I had with somebody. I think the video I'm going to do this weekend is going to go right into that, because this is what I'm hearing all week, right? People are depressed, they're losing money, they're depressed, you know what I mean? And you have to, you know, that's exactly what I'm going to discuss in my video this week, I think, is exactly that, because it's part of it, man. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to predict what is essentially a random price series. Okay. The markets, for the most part, whether you want to believe it or not, are most of the time random. Okay.
Sure.
So you are sitting here spending your life trying to predict randomness. Okay. Which is just so stupid. And listen, I do it, you do it, we all do it. Okay. This is what we do. Right. And we all believe that the period that we're trading, or whatever the edge that we're trading, is when it's not random. I don't believe the market's random all the time, right? And I try and wait for those periods where I can hopefully catch a period of non-randomness, right? But it's extremely hard to do, okay? You have to acknowledge this. People think like, oh, I'm just going to get into the market and it's Wall Street and that's where money is and I'm just going to make money. And that is not the case, okay? It's extremely hard to do this, right? And even when successful doing it, if you can be successful over time doing it, there are periods of time where you are not successful. You have to, when you're doing great, it doesn't mean you're a guru. And when you're doing badly, it doesn't mean that you're the worst that ever lived, okay? It feels that way both times, right? And the point is, when you're feeling great and you feel like you can't lose, that's when you're ready to make mistakes and you start upping your size because you feel like you're gonna, you know, be great forever. And then you lose when you up your size. Then you're doing badly, you feel like you can never win, so you shrink your size, and that's when you're going to do well. So now you're making money when you're shrinking your size, and you're losing money when you're upping your size, and that's going to hurt you, obviously, right? Mathematically, that is going to hurt you. And I think that's what's the answer to it, I believe. I'm glad I'm voicing this now, because now I can put this into my video, but I think the answer to it is to have process, right? That way you're doing the same thing. The whole point of trying to forecast randomness is hard enough, right? But now when your psychology gets into it and it all gets in your head, it makes it even that much harder, right? So you have to take at least that. You can't take the price randomness out of it, but you can at least take the psychology out of it. Your own psychology that you're battling. This is really, you know, it's one thing to battle the market, but this is really a battle against yourself, right? So you have to try to take that out of it, right? And I think that's what putting process in does, right? For me. And even within that, and I've been doing the same process for over 20 years, and it's done what I needed to do, and it continues to do what I needed to do. Even within that, I screwed up in the last 2 months, big time, right? Screwed up because it got in my head, right? I missed a trade that I should have had on, and that has screwed me up for the last 4 weeks from a portfolio basis, right? Where I missed that, so that should have been part of my portfolio. Now it's not. So now how do I do these other trades that would have been part of a bigger portfolio, right? And now are not, because I missed those trades that I should have on. Totally screwed me up. Now, the good side of it screwing me up is I haven't lost money, which is great, right? But I haven't made the money that these trades that I should have had on according to my process would have made me. And that's sad. You know what I mean? But so even within this, I'm supposed to be Mr., you know, process and Mr. disciplined, and even within that I just screwed up. So it gets within your head, and that's the most dangerous thing there is, right? Your head is the worst place for all of this. So
yeah, and if we're brainstorming here, I hope you go through that video idea, because I think it's a timely but just in general important topic. And the idea of the randomness of the markets, and if we're doing random things as well, it's just a bad recipe. And I think the topic in general of what an important part of our job is survival. And when these times come, you just described this cycle of when things are unfavorable for you, going crazy and doing a lot of damage, to when things are going very good for you, or when the market is favorable for you, you're either capital wise, you've done so much damage, you can't take advantage of it, or mentally you've done so much damage, you're not in the headspace to take advantage of it. And then by the time you start feeling a little better about things and start getting back in a groove, something changes again, and then that endless cycle, to get on the right side of that is incredibly powerful. And just getting beat up by that and not being aware it's even happening, I think is the end of, a lot of traders. And I've been stuck in that rut a lot, and I've had to see it happen myself. But really cool topic, and I hope you go into it. I'll tune in and I'll watch it as a fresher to help me through these troubling times.
I think we pretty much just said what I'm probably going to say, but because that's exactly how I do. I just turn it on and I just say whatever. But yeah, we'll see. I find that's the best way for me to do a video. I'm not going to just script it out and go over it. It always just, I lose it. I'm better personally at just turning on the camera and just whip out the idea.
Right on. Very good. And then, so inside of the method that you have, you don't do anything else. So there's no other kind of like, maybe like other accounts where you do some shorter term time trades or anything. You got one lane and you do it and do it well.
And that's what, listen, I manage money, right? I'm a CTA. So that's what people are hiring me to do. So I don't do anything else because, people are like, oh, you're so disciplined with your process. Well, yes, but I have like a retirement account and all that I go on there, and sometimes I'll whip some stocks around or something like that, just for the hell of it. But my clients hire me particularly to do what I do, right? So therefore, that's what I do, right? That's my business. So it's pretty easy for me to just stick to that because that's what I'm hired to do.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, now you actually said this
even
earlier.
If I were to start, if I day traded something, and my clients, I don't think are on my ass that much like this, but I would assume if I went in and day traded like 200 NASDAQ futures, and even if I made it money, close it out at the end of the day, I would assume one of my clients at least would call me up and be like, "What the hell was that, man?" Like, it's great that you made money, but they're smart enough to know that I could also lose money doing that, right? Like, what the hell was that? That doesn't fit into what you do. Like, what was that? So I don't need that. Be great. Oh, I made you money. Okay, but they're smart enough to know that, okay, you got lucky this time, but what's going to happen next time?
No doubt.
They're like, well, that's not what we hire you to do. We have guys in our portfolio that are day trading NASDAQ. That's what they do. You do what you do. Well, there's a reason you're in our portfolio. We need you to do that. So.
What is your opinion of day trading just in general? I think
it's a horrible idea.
Can you speak about it? Can you flesh that idea out?
Okay. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I've worked in a whole bunch of different places. Hedge funds, prop funds, brokerage houses. Okay. I've known probably over 100 people that were day traders. And the amount that I know that are still doing it, I think I can count on one finger. So in other words, it doesn't work. So why do it? That's what I believe. I know that there's going to be or you might be a day trader, or 100 of the people that are watching this and listening to you are going to come out and say, I've been day trading and I'm successful out of it, so screw you. And if that's the case, awesome. Screw me. I'm wrong. That's great. I just think this is all an odds game. And if the odds are that I think it's very, very difficult to be a successful day trader over time. I really do. I think it's very difficult to be a successful position trader over time. But I used to say it like this. If you have, let's say, 100 years to make a trade, right? Then it's pretty simple what you do. You buy the S&P. There's a pretty damn good chance that in 100 years, the S&P is going to be higher than where it is now, right? That's a ridiculously long period of time, right? Now let's take the other extreme, a ridiculously short period of time, the next tick. There couldn't be anything more random than the next tick, right? So which end of that spectrum do you want to be on? Do you want to be towards the spectrum of the most random thing or the least random thing? I personally think you'd rather be the least random thing. So that's kind of how I feel about day trading. And listen, prove me wrong, man. Go make money in day trading. I think it's wonderful. I don't freaking know everything, and I don't know everybody, but all I know is what I've witnessed, and I've witnessed hundreds of people try to do it, and maybe I can think of one that's been successful.
I think well said at the end. Use that negativity as motivation to go prove him wrong if you like to do it.
And don't even prove me wrong. Who cares what I think? If you're making money, then hey, screw me.
Now, you said that you started trading or being involved with markets or potentially trading around the age of 21. So, very early on. I think you mentioned you've probably been trading for 30 years or so now. Can I ask, do you have any plans on? I want to be tactful about the way I ask this question because there's nothing under the surface here. But just curious, do you have any plans of hanging up the mouse when you're going to call it quits, when it's time to get off the screens? Any thoughts of that, or
Every day. I mean, I did take a year and a half off a while back, you know. I took like 18 months off and kind of went into semi-retirement, and found that I missed it. I mean, this is what I enjoy doing. This is what I've done my whole life. This is, I feel like, something, whether I am or not, I don't know, but something I feel like I'm good at. And it's nice to do something that you're good at, you know. I wish that I was really good at blues guitar and I could go on the road and just be a blues guitarist, but I'm not. So, you know, it's nice to do something that you're good at and that you enjoy it. And this is what it is. So I got back into it. I don't know if that was about 6 or 7 years ago or something like that. And this time I did it how I consider it to be right. I mean, I was fortunate that I was in a position that I can do it and not have any constraints that I didn't want put on me. In other words, I didn't need to take clients, you know, that I didn't want around, you know, like I did have a big CTA before this. And I had to take whatever clients I could get because I had a huge expense base. I had a bunch of people working for me and all that. And so I had to take whatever fee income I could get to pay for that. And it turned out to be a nightmare. This time around, like I said, I work right out of my house and I don't have any expenses, right? And I don't charge my clients a management fee. So if I don't have any trades for 2 months, which doesn't happen, but if I don't, it's okay because I'm not charging them a management fee. If I don't make any money for them, I don't make any money for me. Now I was able to do all these things, you know, because I did a good job of saving money in the past and all that. So I don't have to do anything on the business side that I don't want it, which has been a great place to be put in, right? So when am I going to hang it up this time? I don't know. How about tomorrow? Sounds like a good day for me, but truthfully, you know, what would I do? You know, what would I do? First of all, although, you know, a good thing that came out of the Market Wizards book was all these people that contacted me asking if I could help them. And we started this web page, and that now gives me something to do, truthfully, right? Sitting here and talking, it keeps my mind going. Like, what are you going to do? Steve Cohn, who happens to be a famous trader, obviously once said, you know, golf's great till you have to do it 5 times a day, right? I don't even golf anyway, but you have to keep your mind alive, right? So this helps me do that. It keeps me in touch and it keeps my mind churning, and otherwise my brain will just turn to mush, right? Now, like I say, possibly the idea of writing this thing and keeping up with these people on the Discord and all that can help keep my mind alive, but can I really do that effectively if I'm not really involved in the markets? I doubt it, but maybe. I do have a dream that my youngest one will graduate college 3 years from now. So I keep thinking maybe the day I don't know why I keep pinning that number to that number, but I'm like, maybe when she graduates, I will retire, and just go and, I don't know, travel the world for a year or 2 or something like that. I've done a lot of traveling, but I wouldn't mind doing that. We'll see. We'll see how we feel then, you know, but right now I still like what I do. It's still interesting to me, and it's still not driving me too crazy. So we'll see. I always used to say there's a very high probability I'm just going to drop dead right sitting on this chair right here, right in front of these screens, you know. And if that's what happens, then great. I mean, look, Tudor's still doing it. Guy's a multi-billionaire. He certainly ain't doing it for the money. You know what I mean? What's his name? Druckenmiller's still doing it. You know, he's a lot older than me. He certainly isn't doing it for the money. Guy's got more money than any human being could ever possibly need, right? It's fun and it's interesting, you know. So I guess that answers your question. I'm gonna die in front of these screens one day. So
been decided. Okay, good. Well, you know, one of the reasons I even asked is I never have actually met somebody that is a retired trader, or I just wonder what happens to everybody. Do we all just die at our screens, or what goes on?
Governor retired.
Yeah,
he kept his business. You know, Caxton still exists, but he's hands off. You know, he retired a multi-billionaire. Bruce Kovner.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, he walked away, a multi-billionaire, and his business still runs without him. But he retired. I always remember this guy that he wasn't, I don't think a trader, but it was this famous thing that went around after 08 crash. And this guy wrote this thing like, hey, you know, all you losers, blah, blah, blah. I just made $20 million being short this market. I'm done. Don't contact me. I'm not looking to raise money. I'm done. I'm retired. Don't even try to find me. I'm good. Right. So that was always kind of a funny one that I thought of. But I think there's people that retire, but few and far between. You're right, because it's fun. You know, at the end of the day, it's not fun when you're losing money. Clearly, it's hard. But when you accept the losing money part and even screwing up part as part of the process and part of life, you know, then it becomes a lot easier, I think, to call it fun, you know.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Let's say there's a a new person, a young person. I think that the idea of being involved in the markets is just increasingly becoming very alluring to people, maybe even in a predatory type way. But let's say somebody's kind of young and they're looking to no real experience, but they want to be involved in the markets, probably enticed by some type of day trading, maybe enticed by the Forex market. What would you say if you were just talking to somebody like this and they just blanketly asked you, what would be some advice for a young person trying to get started in financial markets?
So this is what I say, and everybody laughs at this, okay? But I mean it, all right? What would you tell somebody if they came to you and they say they want to get involved in the markets, and what should they do? I always say this: go to law school. That's my answer. Go to law school. This is no way to do it, okay? Go to law school, get hired as a lawyer, make $500 an hour, okay? So that you have a nice base. And then if you want to trade, then trade, okay, as a second income, right? But doing this as a first income, it's an extremely difficult life, man. You know what I mean? And it's far from guaranteed that you are going to make money. In fact, very high probability is that you're not. So you're going to have wasted a very long part of your life. And I am a big believer that you are not going to learn how to make money until you learn how to lose money, right? And that is something that takes a while to do, you know. You're not going to go into this being like, oh, I'm going to go lose $1 million so that I can then learn how to make money. You're not going to go into it like that. But that is what's going to happen. I can almost assure you, okay? Because it's happened to everybody that I know, including myself, more than once, right? So either get a job at a hedge fund if you can, right? So that you have a salary, or be a lawyer, get a good salary, and then use your savings to trade, and then go through the whole thing that everybody has to go through: make, lose, make, lose, make, get to a point where you feel like you're steady making, okay? And then if you've saved up enough money, then quit your lawyer job and become a trader. But to just go right into this, man, and just go into trading and think that's how you're going to make your living for the rest of your life, I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. I did it, and it was stupid, okay? Yes, I learned how to, hopefully the lessons that I learned are what led me to where I am now. But I can tell you right now, I'm 57, okay? I was 37 and I had 3 kids and I was dead ass broke. And it's a horrible way to go through life. So learn your lessons while you're making real money at a real job. That's my best advice. And then, hey, look at me now. I'm a good trader. I just put up 3 great years of trading. I can do this. Okay, good. Then quit your job and now trade.
What would you, maybe same scenario, but different person, kind of somebody looking for some direction, been in trading for a while, maybe similar to what you described, 5+ years in the markets, something like this, never really found any footing with it, never found any real tangible results. What would you, they still really want to do it. Where would you point them, or how would you tell them to move next?
Why does they really want to do it? That's my first question. If the answer is because I want to get rich, then I'm going to tell them this ain't the place to do it, right? So, but if we're going to take it to the next level, okay, let's just forget about that wise ass shit. Let's just say this person wants to do it, and it's what they're going to do, and how can I help them to do that, right? It all goes back to the original thing I was saying earlier. Develop process. That's what you have to do. You're not going to believe me, okay?
Mm.
But I'm going to say it, and I've said it a million times. All right. You are not going to make money over time doing this by being smarter than everybody else. It's not going to happen, right? Because you may be, I've said this a million times, you may be the single smartest person out there. I don't know. Maybe you are. Maybe one person is that, and maybe it's you. But you have to be smarter than the entire market combined in order to do that. And that's simply impossible, right? Einstein wasn't that smart. Nobody's that smart. You're not going to be smarter than everybody else combined, because that's what the market is. The price of an asset in the market is everybody's opinion of where the market should be right now, right? So how are you going to outthink that? You're not, right? So you have to get over that idea. You have to get over the idea that making money in the market is about being right or wrong, okay? Because it's not, okay? This is gambling, right? So with gambling, you have to be able to identify where there's a good risk return bet, right? Be disciplined enough to put that risk return bet on, understand enough about risk management to size that risk return bet properly, right? And over time, do that. That's how this works. That's what this game is. This is not about the 50-day moving average, okay? It's just not, all right? This is not about, I know what the economy is going to do. It's not about that, right? It really isn't. I know everybody wants to believe it is. And I know if you watch TV and you read the financial press, and that's what it will look like it is. But it simply is not, right? And I know you read these guys and, oh, look at this guy. He got it right. He's a guru. No, okay? He flipped the coin and he got heads. That doesn't make him a guru, okay? The market's either going to go up or down. And you're going to say it's either going to go up or down. And if you said it went up, it's going to go up, and it did go up, that doesn't mean that you saw the future. It means you flipped the coin and you got it right. It doesn't mean a damn thing, okay? So, and you see that now, all these guys that were right about the bear market in 2022, and they were heroes, and now they're all wrong about the bull market in 2023, and now they're jerk offs. They're neither, okay? They're just people making guesses, right? And that's the point. You have to be able to make money by guessing, and that's all about risk management. This game is all about risk management and discipline. The rest of that stuff is all a bunch of malarkey and will kill you and will make you lose money. So if I'm going to give someone advice, find a process, right? Backtest it. And backtesting has its downfalls as well, but it can help, right? Test this process. And I mentioned the 50-day moving average. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. You know what? You think the 50-day moving average is great? Okay, then test what 50-day moving average trading system does. Okay, and see if it's any good, right? Don't buy into the bullshit just because a whole bunch of people are talking about charts and moving averages and resistance and support. You can't just buy into that because you think it sounds cool, right? And because it's easy to do, right? Test it, see if it works, develop a process, stick to that process. That's where you're going to make money doing this. That's the only shot you have making money doing this.
Very giving it straight to us today. I think
mean,
a couple
I'm
things
sorry that's the answer. I wish it could be, I wish it could be easier. And listen, I have people now that pay for my newsletter. Okay, we don't charge them a lot, but they do pay. And I beg people, do not pay for this thing. Okay, if what you think you're going to do is Jason Shapiro, who is in Market Wizard, is going to give you the trades that you should be doing to make money. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm not looking to be a tip sheet. I don't want you to trade based on what I'm trying to help people learn these type of concepts, right? Get over the old concepts and learn what really is important in this. That is what I am trying to help people to do. Teach them to fish, right? Not give them a fish, right? So
a couple things.
These are the things that I think are real. This is what I think is real about this game. I can sell you on a whole bunch of bullshit. Hey, but truthfully, this is what's real, in my view, at least.
I was actually just having a conversation on the last guest I spoke with, Merritt Black, and the topic came up about just the real work of becoming a trader, or what this is that we do in the markets. And you touched on it, the idea that I think we have, let's say collectively as a whole, people that are involved in the markets, especially on the retail trading side, just very confused about what it is that we do, what the job is, what this looks like. And there's so many shiny objects and things to focus on. that have nothing to do with what is important here. And it's also, when you were going through that last thing you were saying, it was interesting. Something that is so simple, and I think everybody knows it, risk to reward is the main thing, and discipline, right? And some of these concepts, they're so painfully simple and right in front of everybody's face, and we can get it up here so quickly. You can learn it in 1 second, but in almost all cases, at least my experience and probably everybody, it takes so long to really get it in here to where you don't just know it, you really understand it, that I can't be smarter than the market, that I am wrong so much, it's wild. And it has to be about my discipline of following my edge, following something that puts the likelihood of an event happening in my favor, and keeping my risk to reward in check. And I'm really glad you expounded on it.
That's it, man. And that's why I say, like what you said about it has to go from here to here. The only way it goes from here to here is to go through a period of losing a shitload of money. Because you're not going to believe it until that happens. And that's why I say people have to go through, you know, I manage money. One of my clients is a multi-strategy hedge fund, right? And because I've been in this business a long time, and I've raised money and I've had clients, sometimes they call me up. I don't work inside their fund. I'm an outside manager for them, but everybody else works inside their fund. And they have these PMs are like, oh, you know, what do you think's going on with this guy? What do you think's going on with that guy? I said, look, man, you hired this guy. This is the first time he's ever managed money. Okay. So what do you think's going to happen, man? He has to go through a period of losing money. Otherwise, he's never going to be successful. So what do you think's going to happen? You think this guy's just going to come out of, well, he's a smart guy. I'm like, I'm not doubting that he's a smart guy. Okay. But that's irrelevant, right? The fact that he's a smart guy makes it even worse, because he knows he's smart and therefore he figures he can't fail. And the market will, as they say, humble you quicker than you know what to do with, right? So he's got to go through that. So how do you guys expect that not to be the case? He's just going to come and be a smart guy and just make money out of the gate and just make money forever? I don't think anybody has ever done that. Okay. How is this going to be the first person, right? So I think that what you're saying is exactly right. The only way to go from your head to your heart and really believe these things is you're going to have to lose money, right? And that's why I go back to the whole point of go to law school, right? Because, you know, you're going to have to go through that period. And to get into something that you said, I think that also strikes a chord with me, at least. I'm wrong all the time. I'm wrong all the time. I'm wrong all the time. So this is this really is the very core, the basis of what I try and do, right? Is if so many of us are wrong all the time, then all I'm really trying to do is go opposite what so many of us are doing. I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to capture the money that everyone else is losing for being wrong, including me. Okay. I'm not saying I'm any smarter. I gave up on trying to be smart, right? All I'm trying to do is capture the losses that everybody else is having by going opposite the masses. That's it.
Yeah. The core part of the method there for you.
And I think that's an important thing for people to think about. What is it that you're doing that's different? Because if you're not doing anything that's different, then I promise you ain't going to earn positive returns. Yeah.
Powerful point. And I think it helps to stop to just be treating our trading so much more like a business, in the sense that you walk into any business and undercapitalized, undereducated, trying to just copy what other people are doing. How could you expect to make any money? And yet,
exactly, freaking right. I say that to people all the time. It's no different than anything else in the world. How are you going to earn excess returns? Okay. Hey, the dentist down the road makes a shitload of money, so I'm going to go open up a dentist office down the road. Is that going to work for me? No. Yeah. And the truth is, even if I went to dental school, if a whole bunch of dentists came in and opened up an office right on that same corner, then the profits for all of us would go down, right? That's what efficient markets are all about, right? That's what capitalism is all about. That's what the invisible hand is all about. Trading is no different. And people talk to me about that. They're like, well, then why are you giving away what you do? You go on these interviews, you tell people what you do. You have this newsletter, you tell people what you do. Isn't everybody going to jump in there and do it? And it's going to arb out all of your positive returns? Maybe it is, except that I don't think people have the discipline to do what I do. You know, it's very difficult to be this contrarian. It's very difficult to stick. I can hand people my stuff, okay, and they're still going to not going to be able to do it because the first time they have 3 losses in a row, in particular, the first time they have 3 losses in a row that went in the money first and then ended up stopping out, you're going to start saying, oh, well, I should have trailed the stop. Oh, well, I should have. Well, guess what? I've tested all that. I've been through all that. So I know that while that happens, I have trades go in the money and then I end up getting stopped out. And I know over time what it should look like is that I should sit on these trades and let them ride out, right? But to do that is very, very, very difficult, you know?
Brutal.
So anyway.
Yeah, interesting. And actually, just to close up the topic about, one thing I think that's fascinating about what we do at trading is you try to go be a dentist and you're just not going to, the dentist example, it's just not going to work. And you're going to just find out very quickly. You're not just going to have success with it at all. The sneaky thing about trading is you can put on the damn moving average and just follow it. And it might work. And
that's right.
You can get that hint of this is actually working, as opposed to starting a business, getting no clients. It's so hard the entire time. You can have no idea what you're doing and make money on your first day.
Yes.
Which is, not a benefit to anybody, but it's there and it happens every day. Yeah.
And that's why I think it's important. And I'm certainly not the first one to ever say this, but if you really are serious about this and you really want to take this seriously, you should be logging all of your trades, right? So that you can then go back at some point. And this is what I did. And this is what changed my whole trading life, right? You can go back and see that those work here. So here's the trade that I did against the 50-day moving average. Okay, well, and it worked. Okay. But now let's have a list of 100 trades that I did against the 50-day moving average. Did it work as a whole, right? Yeah. So that you could say, let's say the answer is no. Okay, 10 of them worked great. The other ones were all shit. And as a whole, I lost money doing that. Okay, well, this whole 50-day moving average idea, throw it out. Let's focus on the ones that do work as a whole. It's like you say, a breakout trade, it could work. And that's the one, memory is a funny thing, right? They call it selective memory, right? You'll remember that one forever, right? And you'll forget the 20 that didn't work, right? Sure. So it's so important, in my view, to keep a log of these things so you can go back, log them by type of trade, right? So you can go back and see which type of trades have actually worked for you over time. I think that's so important. I did that, and it really helped me focus on what I do now. It led me to what I do now, and it's kept me very disciplined to what I do now.
Can I ask, what was the inspiration or the reason that you decided to start putting out YouTube videos?
It all became part of this whole crowded market report thing. Like I say, when Jack's book came out, I started getting hit up. I was never on Twitter or any of this stuff. I didn't know what Discord was. I'm 50 in my 50s, man. We don't know what Discord is, Sure. But people started hitting me up on LinkedIn, like, hey, can I? You guys are like, hey, can I just come and sit with you? I'll make you coffee. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can make my own coffee, but I want to, because of the things that have been passed on to me from some of my mentors. I do want to do that. I think that's part of it, as a paying it forward type of thing, right? But I was like, I can't sit here and sort of spend time with 200 different people during the day on this, because I have a business to run. I have a family, you know what I mean? But one of those people said to me, hey, what if I centralize it? I could start a web page and we can centralize that whole thing. And so that's what we did. And that has worked. What was the original question? I'm sorry.
No, just what was the inspiration or
right. So the YouTube video became that, you know what I mean? It became sort of like, make a video, how are people going to know that we have a web page or whatever, right? So make a video on YouTube and people could see that. And if they like it, then they can come and explore if they want to be a part of the web page or not.
Yeah.
And it's really just getting them. I don't care if they want to just do the YouTube videos. There's plenty of messages in there, right? It's a strange thing getting old. You seem, how old are you? You seem like you're still young.
33.
So, at the end of the day, you start getting old and you start saying, what have I really done here? I mean, and so what have I done? I sit here and I pick off the weakest traders in the world, I believe, right? And I make money off of their lack of understanding, okay? And that, I don't make any excuses for that, okay? This is how I put food on my table, right? I don't make any excuses for that, but at the end of the day, was this the greatest thing any human being has ever done in their freaking life? You know what I mean? Like, what have I given? And again, I've talked about this in videos recently. I have found, as I've gotten older, and I'm not religious in any way, shape, or form, but I truly come to believe that the more one gives, the more one receives, right? Well, when you're younger, you're like, you know, hey, I'm going to go out and get, right? I'm going to go out and get what's mine, and I'm going to get it by taking, right? And I have found over time that that's not true. You know, you give, and the more you give, you give and give and give, because the more you give, the more you receive. So that's sort of the part of my life I'm at, right? If I can help people in some way, maybe it helps me feel less guilty, the fact that I just pick off weak traders as a way to make money, right? Now, look, I buy at the offer and I sell at the bid, so I ain't stealing anybody from anybody, right? I'm not forcing anybody to sell me anything or buy from me, okay? So I don't feel that guilty about it, but for the greater good type of thing, you know, like I ain't doing no greater good there, you know, for humanity. So if you can help people, I think it's extremely important. That's kind of how the YouTube thing and the videos really started to come up.
Yeah, very good. Well, I hope you keep it up and keep posting, and I'm looking forward to your next topic. I'm already interested. I know what it is.
You already gave it to me, so.
Is like maybe even a closing topic. Just interested on your perspective on this. Do you have any thoughts, or where does your mind go when you think about AI and some of the things that are happening right now?
Oh, it's above my head, man. It's so above my head. I don't even know what the hell. People have been talking about AI. I used to say it all the time. Like when it was about 4 or 5 years ago, suddenly every hedge fund that was looking to raise money, and people would send me like their proposal all the time, had AI and machine learning. I'm like, anybody that has AI and machine learning in their hedge fund proposal right now, I am throwing right in the garbage, because it's bullshit, right? Like that's what everybody put. It's just like these keywords, right? You had to put them in there. And I don't know what either one of those is. Do I think that AI it can be valid? Of course, I think it can be valid, but I don't even know what it means. I mean, I can make, as with just about anything, because I try to be so unbiased in my market view and therefore my life, I can make both sides of the argument, you know, like certainly, and I did write in my report one week, I think it was like in February, when like that whole AI thing really first started to break. I'm like, this could end up being the greatest thing in the world, because really markets going up over time is really about, to me, inflation, population growth. And, you know, that's really, to me, what markets are about, going up. Why the stock market goes up over time is you get some inflation, you get some population growth. So whoever sells more toothpaste, because there's just that many more people, right? So, and then, you know, there's technology, right, that makes things more efficient, right? So certainly AI can do that to maybe the greatest extent ever. I can't say I know that that's true, because I don't know enough about it, but certainly some people would argue that that could be true, right? I can also make the other side of the argument. Like, what else? I was just having this conversation with my friend the other day. I'm like, I don't understand. What else do we freaking need? Like, I have a phone. I sit on an airplane, okay? and I can trade hundreds of millions of dollars in a hedge fund lifetime out of my hand on an airplane over the Pacific Ocean, right? And all the information that I would ever need, I could pull up immediately. So like, what the hell else do we, I don't understand, what the hell else do we need? Like what, somebody tell me what's next. I don't know. And I guess people have always said that, but in this particular case, I feel like, you know, I hate to be the old guy that's like, oh, you know, things are better, and, you know, in the old times when you didn't, you know, that whole thing, because that's always been the case and they've always been wrong, right? But I don't know, like, what else do I need? Like, do I really need to have virtual sex? I mean, hey, I'll give it a shot, but I mean, does that really make our lives that much better? I don't really know. You know, I don't really know. So my opinion on that is, with a lot of things, I have no idea. And I'm too old to worry about it anyway. That's for you guys, man. Go make the world an incredible place. I'll be in the senior center, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting, I think, thing happening in the world, because I think the world is changing very quickly with this. I mean, artificial, I think, is going to make the world just very weird, different. And I think there's a age that you are in where, like you just said, doesn't really matter. Then there's an earlier age that's going to be born with this stuff. It's going to come very natural. And then I feel like I'm in this stage with it where I'm as lost as you are with it, except it's really going to be affecting my day to day eventually. So
it probably will.
spot.
I mean, look, when I was your age, that's when cell phones started coming out.
Okay.
And I didn't get a cell phone for years. I didn't get a smartphone until about 3 years ago. Okay.
Oh, sure.
Just because I was an old, stubborn, you know, idiot, right? But yeah, that was right where I was with that. And like you say, the kids that are born with that, like my kids, you know, It's just second nature. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? We can argue about philosophically forever, but there's no question. If nothing else, it's going to be interesting.
No doubt. We know that for sure. Listen, let me ask, you have the your webpage, which is called what?
Crowdedmarketreport.com.
And if anybody who's listening, I know we'll put the links in the description anyway, but anybody who's listening who maybe wants to get on the newsletter, find out more about you, maybe hang out with you in Discord, what would you say? No new friends, don't find me? Or where would you send people if they wanted to connect with you? Or is your Discord
If that's where
available
they
to
want
join?
to, if they believe that my philosophy, my whatever, can help them to become better traders, then they should come to crowdedmarketreport.com. If they're looking at it as, oh, Jason Shapiro was in Market Wizards and I saw his return stream and it's really good and I just want to mimic that and all that, then I would say don't. Go to one of these tip sheet people that you see all over Twitter and all that, pay them, let them rip you off, lose your money doing that. And then if you still are interested in the markets, then come back and come to Crowded Market Reports. And I believe, I can't guarantee, I believe we have some value to offer you. I do. I have a lot of years of trading and I'm no different than anybody else. I went through the whole thing that everybody goes through, starting out in a bull market, making money, losing it when it became a bear market, then learning about going short, making money shorting, then losing that when it became a bull market again. I've been through all that. Okay. So I think that my experience, and I've read all the books, all the technical analysis books, I've traded the Fibonacci numbers, I've traded the moving average crosses. Okay. I've done all that. I've read the Warren Buffett books. You know what I mean? I went to school, I got a master's in finance. So I learned all about efficiency of markets from Dick Greeley, who wrote the book on the whole thing, was my teacher, right? So I kind of learned about all that and had my doubts about that and got in trouble at school for doubting that whole thing and writing papers that were doubting that, and all that. I went through all of that. So I think that maybe somewhere along the line, it's possible that we can help you. And I will, as a salesman, say we have attracted some incredible people for whatever reason onto there. So it's not just me, because you've also got people that, I'm looking at my thing right here. Okay. We have day trading channel. I don't trade options. I hate them. I think they're horrible. I will tell you not to trade options, but we have an options channel where people talk about options, right? And some of these people know a shitload about this stuff. So it's not just me. We kind of have developed a really nice community where people are all learning from each other. I learn from these guys every day, right? So if you're looking for that type of thing, then by all means, come by. But if you're looking for Jason Shapiro is going to tell me exactly what trades to make every day and I'm going to become a millionaire in a year because of it, then please do not come by.
For sure. Very great to talk with you and very nice to meet you. Thank you very much for the time. I'm going to.
And just one last thing I'll also say is go on the YouTube channel, because that's all free. And I must have 100 videos on there at this point, right? And they're like 5 minutes each. So go there and listen to what you think. And there's plenty of interviews I've done on YouTube and all that stuff too. So go there. That's all free anyway. So
Very good. Yes. And we'll make sure that's linked in the description so people can find you, anybody watching this. So
awesome.
Very cool. I'll say once again, but very nice to meet you. Thanks for coming by. And I'll pause this video recording and then I'll say goodbye to you proper, but we'll both just say a goodbye to the stream and then.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, man. It was fun.
Got it.